Welcome, everyone. My name's Amy Wynn, and I serve on the Connecticut Arts Alliance Board as its president. Thank you all for hanging in there during this difficult time, and a special heartfelt thank you to all the healthcare workers who are on the front lines dealing with the sick and working to prevent the spread of the virus. Today's virtual gathering is aimed at answering questions that you, as part of the arts and culture community, have about the impact of COVID-19 on your work and about the recent recovery remedies that have been put forth. The Connecticut Arts Alliance is a statewide advocacy organization that works to inspire support for the arts. It is often focused on the needs of arts organizations and artists. CAA has developed strong connections also to government leaders in order to both keep them aware of the important stories and concerns from the arts sector, who have been key players in shaping the organization and strategizing on behalf of the arts sector. Wendy Burry, a vice chair of CAA, and Daniel Fitzmaurice, both of whom co-chair CAA's Policy and Issues Committee.
I'm Wendy Berry. I'm the director of the Southeastern Connecticut Cultural Coalition, and John Fisher from Schubert Theater and the Connecticut Association for the Performing Arts. So the committee itself, our task is to monitor and track and analyze issues that are affecting the arts sector statewide. We develop recommendations and identify action items for Connecticut Arts Alliance to distribute to members, to legislators, leadership, and that includes the Arts, Culture, and Tourism Caucus. We also help to spearhead the Create the Vote CT. Where we're going to focus our attention right now is on the economic recovery needs for our sector in the state.
Is this time last year, we were all together in the Capitol during the Tourism Caucus meeting and helping to get the Tourism Caucus change their name to the Arts, Culture, and Tourism Caucus.
And I just want you to know that that's how the Office of the Arts and DECD has been approaching how we move forward. But specifically in the New England Foundation for the Arts region, we've been getting them from NEA, we've been getting them from Americans for the Arts, we've them from the National Assembly of State Arts agencies. If you know that we have some NEA funding that is coming to the state, 40% of the $75 million that was granted in the CARES Act to the state offices of the arts and the regional arts agencies. Just so you know, the Connecticut Humanities is receiving slightly more than that, but we hope to release a grant, I'm hoping by the end of next week, maybe before, that is going to be designed for artists. I keep describing it as a WPA style grant. So it's for artists, mostly for self-compensation, to create the kinds of projects that you've already been creating, that essentially create experiences or learning activities online. And the grants will be flat fees, $1,000 for individual artists, $2,000 for artists who are applying as a group or an ensemble. The guidelines, we're working to get them, they've been pretty much finalized. We're working to get them online, supporting arts and the arts endowment funds. We're working to streamline that process right now. So we've actually created a short form. Both of those are operating support grants, and you can use those funds for your operating. Because we are so limited in terms of the assistance kinds of grants that we can do, and as well as the grants for individuals. We will have our arts learning grants and the Arts Workforce Initiative grants that are currently, some of you may have applied for. They are moving forward.
And any comments specifically about REGI? We have a question about REGI, specifically about the REGI grant program.
Those NEA funds through the CARES Act are only to fund organizations. And I think this is part of the bigger question in terms of what our state's budget is going to look like based on all of the spending that is being incurred right now. So,
which is, it's a difficult messaging moment, right? We want to be seen as really important and also in great need, really in dire need for resources, and at the same time not we don't want to compete with the vital health and human services needs, the critical mental health needs.
And because I talk to a lot of elected officials, because we've become friends, and that is that right now, what we need to be doing are collecting all of the ways that our organizations or ourselves as artists and the organizations around us are filling a vital need for human services. And I don't necessarily mean food or masks, but I mean all of those things that are needed to keep people sane and in their homes. So I firmly believe that on the other side of this, we are going to be in a renaissance for the arts because our whole, what our story is that because of the arts, people stayed sane and pulled through.
Those questions about PPP, specific ones about the PPP program, the EIDL, really talk to the Small Business Development Center, the Women's Business Development Council, and any of those institutions who are there to help, and operating grant funding available now. Just know that some of those loan programs become obviously forgivable, or you can get a grant from them. So don't discount the PPP or the EIDL with the long names there. What grants are out there now in terms of operating support?
So from COA, we don't have any operating support right now. A really good resource for funding from private organizations or other grant funding like the Actors Fund and other national funds is to go to Americans for the Arts and take a look at their resource page.
Do you know if any of the 4CT fund that was just launched with the governor and other partners across the state, does that have any interest in funding arts and culture?
So right now, it does not appear that it does. It's really concerned with sort of basic human needs and what I call the triage functions.
We also have access, as you all know, to the Arts and Economic Prosperity Study from just a few years ago. It's an $800 million industry. Will COA consider using funding or create a quick PSA to provide a statewide appeal to help save your local arts organizations? An overarching campaign would be helpful. They've been talking a lot about physical distancing mandates, most likely being the last one lifted. We're planning for both 50% capacity houses with virtual component expansion and completely virtual events. They'd love a think tank of venues and performers and agents, sound and video techs, etc., as to what this could mean.
I'm just going to say that's one of the reasons to go ahead and subscribe to some of those national organizations, because they're already starting these conversations. And
or will there be now just more funding needed for virtual experiences, programming, and things like that down the road that now grants will have to change?
Because, by the way, there's more funding needed, period. So, I mean, this is the same conversation that we had. So it's nice to know that some conversations just recycle, right? There's something comforting in that, is that almost all of our grants right now could pivot to online kinds of, they could easily pivot to online kinds of projects. I think you will find that most grants out there that are project kinds of grants will easily pivot to